As we gather each Sunday for worship, we read small portions from the Old Testament, the New Testament, and from one of the Gospels. These readings are all designed to tell the story of Jesus with His promise of His coming, His birth, His life, His teachings, miracles, suffering, death, along with His resurrection, and of course His promise to return at the end of time. This design of reading portions of the Bible that then tells the one big story of Jesus has been used for hundreds of years and even for thousands when we include the Jewish people who also read through the Scriptures in a very methodical and purposeful way. In one year, we hear the whole story of Jesus, but the system does have some glitches and negatives along with the positives. And the biggest limitation of this system is that we never hear the whole book of the Bible in one sitting. Yes, I know that most of the 66 books that make up the library we call the Holy Bible are far too long for most people to remain engaged for a whole hearing. After all, come on, Genesis has 50 chapters, and the whole story of Genesis arcs from the beginning of time through the children of Israel making their way to Egypt with Joseph as second in command to Pharaoh. Well, turning to the New Testament, Matthew's Gospel, it's kind of long too at 28 chapters, but even the shortest of the Gospels, of Mark, it has 16 chapters, all of which proves far too lengthy for the attention span of most social media scrollers and 10-second TikTok viewers. Well, Sunday morning is just not the venue for a full reading of most books of the Bible. But unless you have a time when you hear the whole story in one sitting, you miss out on keeping that unified message that the author has written in his particular book. A few years ago, I went to a pastor's conference where the speaker began his presentation by reading the entire Gospel of John. Yeah, it took hours, and you had to agree to be a good listener and stick with it. But if you did, there was this really cool understanding that comes from hearing the whole story, the way the Holy Spirit moved the author to tell the story. There's just no other way to get this blessing of understanding other than going from the beginning to the end. Well, I would like to present this challenge then before you because there's just a real spiritual blessing to be found in reading a whole book of the Bible in one hearing. You may not be up for something as heroically challenging as reading the entire Gospel of John, but there are other books that are shorter, and in hearing them from beginning to end, you'll have this greater understanding and depth of knowledge that's just made possible for you by doing this. Well, here is your assignment, if you so choose to accept it. Choose a book of the Bible and read it through in one sitting. And if you take this challenge, here are some suggestions to improve your experience and make the most out of your time. First, of course, pray. Pray that the Lord would lead you in choosing a book and then lead you in hearing the book. Choose a book that you have some interest in or some prior knowledge, like maybe it's from the Old Testament, like the book of Jonah or the book of Ruth, maybe the New Testament, like Philippians. This past week, I read through the New Testament epistle of Ephesians in just one sitting. It's not hard. It's only 6 short chapters. But it was a real blessing to read the whole book and hear in context many familiar passages that are read in worship. If you take this challenge, I would also suggest that you read the book out loud. I know. There's just something more that comes from reading out loud that your body and your brain find engaging. You might also want a notebook handy so that when you're done, you can journal your thoughts, questions, and reflect on your experience. And if you've gone this far, why not go the whole way and ask somebody else to read the same book and then you'll have somebody to talk about it with you after you've both read the book. Yeah, there are some variations to this challenge that may be worth pursuing as well. I mean, if you really don't want to read the book out loud, nor do you even want to read it yourself, you could listen to the book via an audio Bible. Most Bible apps on your phone or your computer will also speak to you the text. The YouVersion Bible offers this along with many Kindle or other digital Bibles. You get to choose, but here's the challenge. Pray, read, reflect, and repeat. And if you need someone to help reflect with, or you have a question about the text, I'm available. Just send me an email, call me up, or see me at church. Well, blessings on your hearing of God's voice, His Word, and being led by His Holy Spirit into putting those words into action. Hope to see you all then this weekend in Bible study and in worship.